5 things that made Age of Empires a classic game. War on a massive scale. One of the first and most immediate things that you notice when playing Age of Empires is the ability to simulate ancient war on your computer monitor on Windows 95 with simple but very appealing graphics. The other big strategy game of this era was Command & Conquer, and although the gameplay on this was very good, the graphics were definitely rough around the edges. Age of Empires was a stylish and attractive game from the very beginning, although it has been improved since. The first game was good visually, and although games that came later, like the Total War series, were a more realistic representation of ancient warfare, Age of Empires was the best it got at the time, and it was just fantastic. Kids and dads alike enjoyed this game. Another reason? An epic CGI intro. This was from the era before good CGI intros became very jaded, expected, and often unremarkable. The epic fighting depicted in the intro doesn't quite depict the on-screen action when playing the game, but it's close enough. I mean, imagine you've been playing games for years on such consoles as the ZX Spectrum or the Master System. You've played games with beautiful artwork of dungeons, dragons, or God knows what else, and then you put the game cart in and it's a bunch of little pixels on a screen. I'm not hating on those. I like old school games myself. They had limited technology back then. Age of Empires was one of those first games where you could watch the intro and then feel like the gameplay linked pretty well with it. Another reason, attention to detail. This game was developed with clear love involved. One of my favorite details was having the natural world predatory animals on the map. Of course, in the ancient world, bears, wolves, and angry wild boar have long ago been hunted to extinction in the UK, but in the Stone Age, our ancestors had to deal with these beasts using just basic tools and weapons of war, such as an axe or a club, or a spear with a bit of flint at the end. And this situation from the past is captured beautifully in Age of Empires, as there are many exotic beasts you can either use for food or have to fight as predators. Perhaps one of the most interesting battles where this is concerned is using multiple villages with primitive flint spears trying to dodge the tusks of this jungle giant. For 1997, this was peak gameplay, believe me. And something that you didn't have with a lot of early games also was choices. You could choose to ignore these creatures, you could take them down with villagers and use the meat, or enjoy watching your basic militia from the Stone Age, the clubman, showing how beast slaying is done. All this and more, including each civilization having strengths and weaknesses and different bonuses, epitomizes a new level of freedom that was found in this type of strategy game. It's you who chooses where to place your town. You choose what type of buildings you want, what resources you prefer, and you have a whole map to place all of this. If you don't like the area where you begin, you can take your burgeoning civilization and turn it into nomads, uprooting and starting a town in some corner of the map. Choice and freedom is something you see in a lot of modern games, but not so much at the time, and it was definitely one of the big selling factors, having that freedom to choose the subtleties of a winning strategy. The art in this game also excels, watching your civilization grow from the Stone Age upwards, from simple Stone Age type combat units to military academy trained hoplites in their shining bronze armor. Building your own little military always felt personal and epic. And what about the manual for this game? The manual itself is worth a good read. Not just learning how to play the game, but it informs you fully on strategies, tactics, and it even features a section called Ancient Cultures that provides a detailed summary of each civilization featured in the game, including their actual history, things like economy, religion, culture, government, architecture, military. Okay, not every kid's gonna read this, but this is a good example of how the game actually converts fun and leisure into an introduction to actual history. I recall kids bringing the manual to school, including a pullout that displays all the tech. This sort of stuff that goes with the game just builds that fanfare and excitement and the feeling of nostalgia to when you played this.